It's after 5:30, so we're gonna get this workshop started. I've got the prayer, the Pledge of Allegiance. It's with Alderman Jones. Everybody needs to look over the minutes for November the 1st, 2016 regular meeting. And moving down to old business, second reading ordinance 2016-15, an ordinance to amend the Laverne Municipal Zoning Ordinance as it pertains to a overlay district. Received a favorable recommendation from the Planning Commission on September 27th, 2016. This is second reading on it. Anybody have any questions on the ordinance 2016-15? Kyle, refresh our memory on that. It's adding to it, ain't it?
Yeah, it's adding the requirement for a color board, and Kristen can probably explain it or better than I can.
Just any property that's in the overlay district, if there's a proposal for it to be developed, the applicant will have to submit a materials board, which will show the sample colors and the materials that are going to be utilized for that project. So.
Any questions on the ordinance? Hearing none, moving on number 4. This is also second reading, ordinance 2016-16, an ordinance to amend the Laverne Municipal Zoning Ordinance regarding cell towers in residential and agricultural districts. This received a favorable recommendation from the Planning Commission on October 25th, 2016. Kristen, is this in yours too?
Sure. This ordinance will amend the cell tower ordinance to allow the option to have a cell tower in the residential and the agricultural districts as a special exception, as it is currently in the commercial and industrial districts. And it adds a few extra provisions to those types of applications. And there's quite a list of extra provisions that would apply, such as the parcel has to be at least 5 acres. They have to show a propagation map, etc. So if you have any specific questions about that ordinance, I can try to answer your questions.
Any questions for Kristen while we're on this item? Moving on, number 5, this is consent agenda. A, approved city bids and purchases. Felicia?
Yes, sir.
Number 1, bid employee uniform.
After lengthy discussions, Bruce and Kyle and I would request that this be denied and we go back and rebid this.
So this will be removed.
Well, we probably ought to have
No.
a vote at the meeting Tuesday night to reject the bids and to put it out.
Okay, we need to pull this off.
No, the memo's asking that you reject the bids.
Okay.
So if you pass the consent agenda as it is, it will reject
Okay.
all bids and we will start over.
Okay.
We just didn't feel comfortable with the bid actually being apples to apples as it should be.
Okay. Number 2, at state contract purchase, Murfreesboro contract purchase installation of emergency vehicle equipment for the 2017 Ford Police Interceptors utility vehicles.
These are for the vehicles that we ordered in September. We hope to have here by the end of the December. I've not been given a definite time frame. I've been emailing almost every week, so I'm still waiting to get firm confirmation of when they'll be in. But this is just to start ordering the 1, 2, 3, and 4 are all just to start the provisions of getting everything together for all the vehicles, the police vehicles that we ordered. Some of them are off the state, some of them are off a Murfreesboro contract, and some of it's off of NIPA.
Okay. So 2, 3, and 4 is really about the same.
It's all, this is all for the equipment that's needed in installation for the,
Fire
New-
police. people.
well, no, there's 6, because there's an expedition as well. We apparently
Okay,
have an
2004
extremely tall
Expedition
officer that
SSV.
needs a bigger vehicle.
Okay. Any question on 2, 3, and 4? Number 5, sole source purchase.
This is
Uh,
the Plymouth event. It's a
Plymouth
Plymouth event exhaust system for Fire Station 2. This is for a grant. This is actually would make us have the exact system in Station 2 that's in Station 3 for the exhaust to go back outside instead of being inside in the sleeping
Chief,
quarters.
is that duct that hangs down, is that what you're talking about?
Yeah, and the reason I like for it to be sole source, Plymouth Event, we have those installed at Station 3, you guys are familiar with it. The ease of, you can interchange parts, the next available distributor is Cincinnati, Ohio, and they contract with somebody local and warranty services is there. This particular system is done by a company in Franklin.
Basically, what it does, it sends the diesel smoke outside other than just,
Yeah, Station
Spread
2
it in
is
the
very
building.
unique because the kitchen, the living quarters, and the sleeping quarters are right there at the diesel smoke. There's no partition. This system would get us OSHA and TOSHA compliant also. And it is grant. It come off the 15 AFG grant. We got a 10% match. I have verified those funds are available with Ms. Phyllis. There's one flaw I'd like to bring up. I said that we could start construction immediately. We've got to go through what's known as a desktop review on the grant. Ms. Phyllis and I are working on it. It'll probably be after the first of the year before construction starts. We're looking at about a week project.
good deal.
Any questions?
Thank you, Chief. Number B, approved meeting calendar for 2017.
Mayor, of course, this is something we run through council every year. If you look at the memo, there are some things that we do need to discuss as far as changes and conflicts that we need to fix. If you look at the mayor alderman meetings for January 2017, normally we would have the workshop on December 29th and the meeting on January the 3rd. Kind of both of those are kind of bad days just because of the holidays and New Year's and whatnot. The other option is to have it on January 3rd, which is a Tuesday, and January the 5th, which is a Thursday. Here again, there's an issue with that because it is such a quick turnaround between the workshop and the meeting. The third option is to have the workshop on January 5th and the meeting on January the 10th, basically just pushing back everything 1 week. And that would be my recommendation for that January meeting. The July 4th meeting will have to be moved to July 6th because of the holiday, obviously. The August meeting is currently scheduled for August 1st. We'll need to move that to August the 3rd because of National Night Out being that first Tuesday of the month. And then also want to talk about the January 2018 schedule, just to go ahead and plan that out because it's kind of a similar situation to next month because of the holidays. You can either do it on the Tuesday, Thursday, January 2nd and 4th, or do it on January the 4th and January the 9th, which there again would be my recommendation just to kind of get it further away from New Year's. So that would be my recommendation there. The Economic Development Advisory Committee, we are moving those meetings. Currently, they meet on the first Wednesday of each month at 12 o'clock noon. We are changing that to the second Thursday of each month, and it'll now be an evening meeting, so it'll be at 5:30 p.m. And then the other change to the normal schedule is Board of Zoning Appeals and Planning Commission. Here again, it's December of next year. Because of the holidays, Christmas, the regular schedule would be December 26th. We're closed that day because of the holidays and the way it falls on the days. So we're going to move BOZA and Planning Commission to December the 28th. And in the packet is a copy of each month's calendar. So please review that if there's any questions or conflicts that you see. let me know by Tuesday, and we can work on any additional changes that are needed.
So you're gonna look it over, if you have any questions, just call Bruce.
Yep. But
Anybody have any questions tonight? Well, give y'all a chance to look it over the weekend, just call Bruce if you have anything. Let's see, what puts us down to, Bruce? That
you
puts us
ready
down
for
to
5C? Yes, sir.
Approve agreement for engineer service with CTI Engineering, and that is, Mr. Neal.
Yes, sir. Good evening. You have before you for consideration at this Board of Mayor and Aldermen meeting an agreement with CTI. This is for the Hollandale Drainage Basin. We've been working in the Lower East Hurricane Creek and then Hollandale, and currently we're working in the Fergus Road Drainage Basin. Hollandale had flow monitoring done in it. We determined from flow monitoring of the 8 sub-basins that at least 5 of those needed to be investigated. A sewer system evaluation survey was done for those 5 sub-basins. From that, we created a corrective action plan, and that corrective action plan has recommended sewer rehab as well as interceptor sewer replacement. Meetings with city staff, we've agreed that the interceptor sewer replacement needs further study before it's undertaken, but we would like to proceed with the sewer system rehabilitation project, and the agreement that you have in front of you is for our services for design and bidding and construction phase for the sewer system rehab. The sewer rehab is estimated to cost approximately $666,470, and our agreement is for a total fee of $60,000. The agreement has been drafted in accordance with comments we've received previously from the city attorney, so I think that it's in order, and we would request that you accept it and execute it. If you have any questions about any of those projects, I'm more than happy to answer.
Got anything from Mr. Hall? He's here to answer your questions. Hearing no questions, we'll move to,
Thank you very much.
thank you, Mr. Hall. We're moving on now to D, approved grant contract with the Tennessee Department of Safety, Homeland Security, and the Tennessee Highway Safety Office for Alcohol Saturation Patrol.
THSO is what used to be called GHSO, was Governor's Highway Safety Office. They moved 1st of October to the Tennessee Department of Homeland Security and Safety and Homeland Security. This is our annual alcohol saturation patrol extra enforcement overtime grant. We got 40,000 2 years ago, 25 last year, and we're at 15 for this federal fiscal year because the feds have cut back on that allocation. So everybody across the state has dropped. But this is a 100% grant, doesn't cost us anything except doing the additional saturation patrols, which helps overall with everything else anyway. And then we'll be able to do maybe a couple sobriety checkpoints, but that's about all we'll get to do with that. It's 100%, doesn't cost us anything, but the board has to approve it.
That's mostly paid for overtime for the officers.
That's all we get is overtime for the officers. Questions?
Any questions for the chief?
Thank you.
Thank you. Moving on to E, that approved 2017 user agreement with the Vergne Baseball Softball League.
a couple of months ago, we did the proposals, approved a proposal from the Vergne Baseball Softball League to run the ball leagues for next year. This is the actual user agreement. It coincides with what was in the RFP that was approved by City Council. So we just basically need formal approval of this so that they can officially take over starting in January, I believe. So
Evan, have you looked over this?
Yes, sir.
Everything looks good?
Yes, sir.
Any further questions on the baseball, softball agreement? Without a new business, first reading ordinance 2016-17, an ordinance to amend Title II, Chapter 5 of the Laverne Municipal Code regarding the membership of the Economic Development Advisory Committee.
Mayor, over the last couple of months, there's been some discussion regarding the membership in this committee. Currently, it consists of 7 members, one of which is the city council representative, and who also happens to be the chairman, and then one of which is the city planner. We've talked about trying to get more participation from our citizens and our local business owners, and we're requesting that we change the membership by basically removing the city planner from that committee and changing it out with another resident or a local business owner. The city planner would still be completely involved with that committee like she is now. So, you know, the only difference is she would not have a vote on that committee. The Economic Development Advisory Committee seem to be in favor of this change. They've not actually voted on it as far as a recommendation, but you know, they do have a meeting next week, so we could bring that before them for that recommendation at that time. So that we'd have that recommendation prior to the second reading, which would be the January meeting.
Any questions on economic development? So, we actually are not losing Kristen. We're keeping her, but we're gaining another member. Excuse me. Moving on, number 7, this is a resolution 2016-26, a resolution to amend the personal policy and procedure manual for adopting a training reimbursement agreement policy.
Mayor, Vice Mayor, and Alderman, this is something you folks requested, and it has been discussed a couple of times over the past year plus, and we went through and prepared a document, and it was submitted to council, and we made some tweaks and changes to it and got it to a point that we feel like we have a good document. And this will actually be a employment agreement with a new sworn member of Laverne Police Department, which can include those who are already post-certified. But if they are not, then we're looking at 12 weeks at the academy, $3,500 up front for that, not counting all the other expenses and the time it takes and so on and so forth. And that allows us to get them to say, yes, if I leave within the first year, catch me if I'm wrong here, Evan, if I leave within the first year, I will reimburse the city 100% of the cost for these items. If I leave before the end of the second year, then I'll reimburse 66%. If I leave within the third year, I'll reimburse 33%. So it's prorated over that period of time. And we have had very, very few who have done it, but we have had some who have gotten to a point and said, well, I just don't know now that this is what I really want to do. But since we're spending a lot of money with 12 weeks with them being there and some overtime during that period as well, and then with the expenditures of some things that we purchase, like equipment that we can't reuse, then those things would be built in, and Phyllis would pull together the information then on the final part of what they would owe based upon what they had been paid for these periods of time. And they would have to reimburse us for that, plus that $3,500. So you all asked us to do it. We talked about it. I recommended we do it. And there aren't many places that are, some, but not many. And it's fair. In today's world, it's very fair with the stewardship of the citizens' funds, that if somebody comes and says, we want to do this, and then with the amount of money it takes to get one now, it takes forever to get them in here anyway, to go through the process. Cheryl's about pulled her hair out. She's not in here, but she's about pulled her hair out with this group we've been going through. We had 172 applications, and when all was said and done, we've got 3 that can even qualify to be here for an interview. A lot of people just don't show up. They say they're coming, and then you never see them. So it's imperative that we take care of the citizens' dollars, and that's what we're trying to do with this contract or contractual agreement, I guess it is, for them to be employed. And that's at the very end when they say, yes, I'm ready to go and I want to do this. Right before we tell them, you're hired, they'll have to sign that, and then we'll say, okay, now you're hired.
Note that the policy for the personnel handbook is generic. It's not specific to the police department. That way we can also use it for fire department if we need to, because there is a great expense also with employees in that department. So
Yes.
Another thing with this policy is that it does authorize the Human Resources Director to sign this agreement on behalf of the city, because normally the mayor does sign all contracts and agreements. But this, because of what this is being an employment agreement, it does give the HR director that authority.
I think y'all explained it very well. Anybody got any further questions? Evan, you looked at it, it looks good?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Thank
We
you.
have his seal of approval.
All right. Number 8, Resolution 2016-27. This is a resolution of the City of Laverne Board of Mayor and Aldermen to declare certain property owned by the city to be surplus to the city needs and direct disposal of the same.
Mayor, this is a resolution we do on a regular basis to dispose of various property. This time we have several vehicles from the police department. I think there's 5 police vehicles where all equipment will be removed. And then I think there's 5 seized vehicles as well. There's also some things from the IT department and 1 item from the Public Works Department. And there are some additional vehicles on the last page that need to be approved, basically for ratification. So read through those. Any questions, please let us know.
Hearing no questions, we'll move on to number 9. Motion to approve the hotel market study proposal for Padec Hospitality Consultant Incorporated. This received a favorable recommendation from the Economic Development Advisory Committee on November the 2nd, 2016. Who's got this?
I can start off with it, Mayor. This is a study that the Economic Development Committee has been talking about for 2 or 3 months now. And they did make the recommendation to give the proposal, approve the proposal from Patek Hospitality Consultants. This is essentially a study to determine the need for additional hotels here in Laverne. And we had a company come in a few months ago, and they're very interested in possibly coming here, but they needed this study to be completed first. But this could also be applied to various other hotels that might want to move here in the future. I know Kristen has been directly involved with this. She can probably explain it a whole lot better than I can. But we're looking at a total cost here of $6,000, and then there's a possibility of some additional fees, various out-of-pocket expenses for approximately $800. So we're looking at about $6,800 total just to do this study. This was not in the budget, and that is why we're bringing this before council for approval. And we're trying to continue increasing our economic development, and this would be one additional way that we can do that.
Kristen, other cities has done studies like this.
Yes, they, definitely. In fact, the 3 three companies that we solicited, proposals from. They work, with cities all over the country, so it is a good step in being able to help justify any kind of, hotel recruitment moving forward, or convention space, meeting space, anything of that nature. We do have a couple of hotels, as you know, but they're concentrated right by the interstate. They're a little bit on the older side, and we hear frequently that there's a need for extra lodging rooms here, that during the week, people can't get a hotel room, and they have to go either to Smyrna or Murfreesboro. So this study would just help, to justify any kind of work we do moving forward with trying to get that type of, development. And I believe the Patek Hospitality Consultants were, well, they were highly recommended, and they were on the cheaper side of the economic, tally. So they should be good to work with moving forward. I was not at the meeting when the economic development meeting where they did the recommendation, but, I have reviewed all of their documents, and I think that they are a good choice.
Any further questions on the,
I've got a question.
recommendation?
I've got a question. Kristen, do we know how long that study will be intact?
I think that they said this one, Bruce, is it 3 months that it takes them to do it?
I was thinking 6 to 8 weeks total.
Okay, yeah, it's
I mean, 6 to 8 weeks to do it. I'm saying when we get it, because
Oh.
I know the first one we were going to was Cobblestone, but how long would it be in, if we find 5 different other hotels, can we present it to them
Oh,
also?
absolutely. This is just, in fact, this is on the suggestion of the Cobblestone Company.
Yeah.
Right, so it would definitely apply to any company moving forward.
Bruce, is this proposal still valid? I noticed it said it's valid through the 30th of November.
Right, this is an older copy. As far as I know, this will be honored, but we will check on that
Right.
before Tuesday, but I believe it'll still be a good proposal.
Any further questions? Moving on to number 10, that's appoint or remove board members, committee members. A, Laverne Housing Authority, one term expires, and that's for Debbie Balfour. We need to, I think she probably wants to.
She does, I've already talked to her, and she does wish to stay on this board.
And B is the beer board, one term is vacant. One term expires, Jason Cole, and Dana Blair.
Yes, sir. Since Jason has been elected, he has resigned from the beer board, so we'll need to replace that position, and then Dana's term expires at the end of December.
Need to, see if Dana wants to stay and
Right.
take application for the other one. C, it's the, Green Ray Advisory Committee, position, one term expires 12/31/16, and that is, Miss, Sarah, Howagen. And then Tom Broker, we need to put a, board member on that one.
And Mayor, also on this one, since the agendas were printed here again, since Jason was elected to the Board of Mayor and Aldermen, he has also resigned from this committee, so we'll start advertising for that position as well.
Okay. So we need,
And this will not be on the agenda for Tuesday night.
this will not,
No, yeah, that's, well, no, I take that back. The BOMA, the city council position will still need to be appointed, so it will still be on the agenda.
okay, we got the Board of Zoning Appeals position on,
No, Board of Zoning Appeals is not on the agenda.
okay. Moving down to number D, Local Emergency Planning Committee, BOMA position, and 5 term expires 12/31 of 16. We got Tom Broker, Howard Davidson, T.K. Cast, Joe Lalo. I think Ricky said that Joe Lalo will not be back because he's not with that company no more. And Price Justice, we need to get one board member to sit on that board and then see if the other ones wants to sit on there. But we need to, Joe Lalo, we need one on him because he definitely won't be back.
Right, so Tuesday night we'll have the city council position, and then during the month of December, we'll find out who needs to fill those other positions, and we'll have that back at the January meeting.
Park and Rec Advisory Committee. We got the council member, Tom Broker. He's gonna need a council member to take his place. That's the Board of Mayor and Alderman position. And then FYI, Historic Preservation Advisory, one term expires. That's Carolyn Hickerson. Need to know if she wants to stay back on. FYI, Library Board, 3 terms expired, 12/31/16. Bridget Cole, Kristen Costanza, and Gary Frazier. Need to see if they want to stay back on. And H is FYI, Planning Commission, 2 terms expired, Graham Coates and Susan Emule. Need to see if they want to stay back on. Then I, FYI, Stormwater Appeal and Advisory Board, 2 terms expired. That's Mary Jane Skinner and Kenneth Perkins. How often the Stormwater?
They meet a minimum of 1 time a year, and then if there's ever any variance request, you know, they may have other meetings, but it's a minimum of 1 time per year.
Need to see if Mary Jane and Kenneth want to stay on there. Any questions on the above board members? We're down to the Mayor and Alderman comments. Jason, you the dude killed the box. I'm going to start with you.
Thank you, sir. Just a pleasure to be here. Thanks to everybody who came out and voted. Please remember to come out to the Christmas parade. That is Saturday evening, the Parade of Lights. And also please remember the Hickerson family in your prayers with their loss. That's it for me, Mayor.
Alderman Jones.
First of all, I'd like to apologize to the board and to the citizens for my tardiness. Got held over at work today. I'd like to also extend my gratitude for the individuals that came out to vote, and I look forward to serving for another term. Thank you.
Vice Mayor Green.
No, don't have anything.
Okay. Just remind everybody about the Parade of Lights. It's Saturday, December the 3rd, 6 p.m. We start at the City Park and come to the City Hall. And we'll welcome Calvin Jones back, and congratulations, Jason, for coming aboard. And just thoughts go out with all the destruction that's happened in East Tennessee with the fire and storm. But we had some guys from the Laverne Fire Department sent up to help them. And I think one fire engine, Chris Clark, went up there, and Chief, who else went up with Chris Clark to Gatlinburg?
Captain Hardy, Lieutenant Allen McCormick, firefighter Mitch Rigger, Thomas Manalfi, and Tyler McCormick. They're on the way home.
Chris Clark is back, and the others
Chris
is on
came
the
home
way.
last night.
The others should be
are
back
on their
about
way
10
home
o'clock.
now.
They've done a good job up there, and it It was a mess. And we're glad to send them, proud of them, and glad they're coming home safe. Don't have anything else, so I'm gonna call this workshop done.